One thing I think has helped the growth of the female game of late is the storylines.
Yeah.
And obviously with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese starting and developing their storyline in college. But the one thing I don't like about it is I feel like people feel like if you like one, you can't like the other. What are your guys' thoughts on kind of the either or mentality in this?
If you thought the Clark-Reese rivalry was just about basketball, you've been watching the wrong game. Because when Michelle Obama, yes, that Michelle Obama, steps into the conversation, you know things have hit another level. This isn't just about buckets, assists, or stat sheets anymore. It's about something much bigger. How these two young stars have been turned into symbols, targets, and talking points in a cultural storm they didn't exactly sign up for. From the moment Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese crossed paths in the NCAA tournament, the story wrote itself. Clark, the long-range assassin, dropping logo threes like they're free throws. Reese, the gritty competitor who dominates the paint and lets you know about it with every rebound and every stare down.
One of the names that we always hear when we hear Angel Reese is Caitlin Clark as well. People have tried to pit you guys against each other. How much of that is actual rivalry versus just commentary from the public, like people trying to make you guys be enemies?
Yeah, I think it's just competition. It's been competition since college, being able to play against Caitlin.
Their collision wasn't just inevitable, it was epic. The kind of matchup that gets replayed for decades, the kind that makes casual fans stay glued to the screen. And when Reese waved that "you can't see me" gesture right back at Clark after winning the title, boom, rivalry locked in. Social media exploded, debate shows went wild, and the WNBA couldn't buy that kind of exposure if it tried. But here's the thing, and Michelle Obama was the one bold enough to say it out loud. The rivalry has been twisted into something uglier. Instead of celebrating two generational athletes at the same time, the media has leaned into a story that pits them against each other in ways that feel less like sports and more like theater. The golden girl versus the villain. The quiet shooter versus the loud trash talker. And if you think that's just harmless entertainment,
I don't think Angel should be criticized at all. No matter which way it goes, she should never be criticized for what she did. I think everybody knew there was going to be a little trash talk in the entire tournament. It's not just me and Angel. So, like I said, I'm a big fan of hers.
think again, because Michelle Obama knows better. She's seen this play out before. When she spoke on the Clark-Reese rivalry, she didn't talk about who had the better jumper or who racked up more double-doubles. She talked about pressure, about bias, about how the same qualities we praise in men are used to tear down women, especially black women in sports. And she wasn't subtle. She called out the hypocrisy head on, pointing out how Reese's confidence is branded as arrogance, while Clark's competitiveness is praised as legendary. Think about how wild that is. Two athletes, both fierce, both unapologetically confident, but one gets framed as classy and the other as controversial. Michelle didn't invent that argument, but when she puts her voice behind it, the message carries weight. It forces people to stop, listen, and ask, why do we see things the way we do? And here's where the sarcastic humor comes in, because honestly, it's laughable how predictable this all is.
Walk me through your perspective on the flagrant foul, and what was the point you were trying to make to her?
It's just a good take foul, If either Angel gets wide open 2 points or, we send him to the free throw line. Nothing malicious about it. It's just a take foul. Every basketball player knows that.
The same sports media that claims it's just telling the story knows exactly what it's doing. It's like they've got a template somewhere. Step 1, pick 2 stars. Step 2, exaggerate their differences. Step 3, fan the flames until Twitter is on fire. Step 4, sit back and cash in on the ratings. Oh, but don't worry, they'll tell you it's all love at the end of the day. Sure, and I'm supposed to believe Skip Bayless doesn't enjoy yelling for a living. What Michelle Obama's perspective really does is remind everyone that Clark and Reese aren't characters in some reality show. They're real people with real pressure. Every game she plays gets national coverage. Every shot she takes gets clipped and replayed. Every move she makes is scrutinized like it's part of a congressional hearing.
So I think it's really just the fans, her fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans that are like, they ride for her. And I respect that respectfully, but sometimes it's very disrespectful. I think there's a lot of racism when it comes to it, and I don't believe she stands on any of that.
The expectations aren't just high, they're impossible. And Michelle was clear, nobody, no matter how great, should have to carry that weight alone. Before we dive deeper, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Michelle Obama's right about the pressure Clark and Reese are under? Or do you think the media is just fueling the fire? Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to see this rivalry in a way you've never seen before. And here's the twist. Michelle didn't just make this about Clark or Reese. She made it about both of them, side by side. She basically said, these two women are being crushed by unrealistic narratives, and instead of lifting them up together, the media has chosen to play tug of war with their reputations. That's not just unfair, it's damaging. And let's be real, you can already see the cracks.
And there's a lot blown up on Twitter about Angel Reese following you around, pointing to her ring finger and taunting you.
Honestly, I have no idea. I was just trying to get to the handshake line and shake hands and, be grateful that my team was in that position. That's all you can do is...
Reese has been candid about the mental toll this spotlight takes, openly admitting that sometimes it feels overwhelming. Clark, meanwhile, is balancing her rookie season with the burden of being painted as the savior of women's basketball, a label so heavy it could break even the toughest athlete. The question isn't whether they can handle it. The question is, why should they have to handle it this way? That's the brilliance of Michelle Obama's statement. She didn't diminish their rivalry, but she reframed it. She shifted the focus from Clark versus Reese to Clark and Reese versus the pressure of a system that thrives on drama.
I think so many people are watching women's basketball right now. It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball.
And let's be honest, that's not the kind of take you hear on ESPN every morning. Because what sells isn't balance. What sells is chaos. What sells is when Stephen A. Smith throws his hands in the air and demands to know if Clark is the next great superstar, or if Reese is too much of a distraction. What sells is when Twitter argues over whether Clark is unfairly targeted or Reese is unfairly villainized. Meanwhile, the truth sits quietly in the corner. Both of these women are breaking barriers, and both of them deserve more respect than they're getting. Michelle Obama's words weren't just commentary. They were a challenge to fans, to media, and to the league itself. Because if the narrative doesn't shift soon, if the focus doesn't start to honor their talent instead of twisting their identities, then this rivalry won't just define Clark and Reese. It'll define women's basketball in a way that overshadows everything they've built.
Can we be done pretending Angel Reese, the me-bounds queen, is in my league? She's out there chasing me-bounds, flexing after missed layups, and celebrating while getting cooked. And now she's trying to trademark me-bounds like it's something to be proud of. Imagine being so bad at finishing. You try to profit off your own bricks.
Here's the thing about rivalries. They're supposed to be fun. They're supposed to bring out the best in athletes, give fans a reason to argue in the barbershop, and create those highlight reels you can't stop replaying on YouTube at 2 in the morning. But when it comes to Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, the rivalry has started to feel less like fun competition and more like a case study in how the media loves to recycle the same tired double standards. And Michelle Obama, without naming names, basically ripped the cover off the playbook. If this feels familiar, it's because we've seen it all before. Serena Williams, remember her? Greatest women's tennis player of all time, a 23-time Grand Slam champion. The woman who redefined dominance in a sport that once pretended it didn't even want her there. And yet, how many times did headlines focus on her outbursts or her attitude, rather than the fact that she was literally rewriting history every time she stepped on the court? Meanwhile, her male counterparts, think John McEnroe, Novak Djokovic, even Roger Federer when he snapped, were labeled as passionate or intense competitors. Serena shows emotion, she's angry. Federer shows emotion, he's a warrior. Funny how that works. Simone Biles lived through the same circus. The greatest gymnast the world has ever seen. A woman who not only won medals, but invented moves so difficult, the judges had to rewrite the scoring system just to keep up. And when she finally said, hey, my mental health matters more than performing through trauma, what did the media do? They split into camps. One side praised her courage, while the other accused her of quitting or not being tough enough. Because apparently women in sports are supposed to be both superhuman and stoic at the same time. No tears allowed, unless it makes for a dramatic promo before the Olympics. And now, here we are with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, two women who are not only redefining the game of basketball, but dragging the entire WNBA into a new era of visibility. Clark hits logo threes like they're layups. Reese dominates the boards with a presence that feels like she's 10 feet tall. Together, they should be celebrated as a dual force pushing women's basketball to heights it's never seen before. But instead, we get endless debate shows asking whether Reese is too cocky or whether Clark is being protected by the league.
Without Caitlin Clark, nobody cared about tonight's game. Caitlin Clark runs this league, and we still managed to get clapped up by 30 even without her playing. Thank God she didn't play, or else we might have lost by 50. But I don't sell tickets, I sell victimhood.
Let's pause there for a second. Too cocky. That phrase has been following Angel Reese around since college, and every time I hear it, I can't help but laugh. Isn't cockiness literally the foundation of sports greatness? Michael Jordan didn't walk into arenas whispering, "Golly gee, I hope I play okay today." No, he looked opponents dead in the eye and told them he was about to ruin their night. Larry Bird used to tell defenders exactly where he was going to shoot from, then drop the shot in their face. Kobe Bryant built an entire mythology around being unapologetically confident. But Angel Reese does the "you can't see me" gesture, the exact same one Clark had used earlier in the tournament, and suddenly it's a national scandal. Oh, the horror. A college athlete talking smack. What's next? Players celebrating after dunks. Michelle Obama wasn't just defending Reese in her comments. She was pointing out how baked in these double standards are. She essentially said, look, we can either uplift both of these women as examples of excellence, or we can keep feeding them into this ridiculous narrative machine that cares more about clicks than fairness. And she's right, because the media loves nothing more than to pick sides, then act shocked when the athletes themselves feel the weight of it. And don't think Caitlin Clark is immune to this either. She's on the opposite end of the spectrum, getting smothered with praise to the point that it's almost suffocating. Do you think Clark enjoys being painted as the savior of women's basketball? Spoiler alert, she doesn't. She said it herself, the attention can be overwhelming. Every game she plays feels like a referendum on the entire WNBA's popularity. If she drops 30 points, the headlines scream about her greatness. If she has an off night, suddenly the think pieces appear. Is Caitlin Clark already slipping? Like, relax, she's a rookie. Even LeBron James wasn't crowned the GOAT after his first year, and the man was literally called the Chosen One on the cover of Sports Illustrated at age 17. That's the trap both Clark and Reese are caught in.
I think the tough thing is the social media element to it, but that's true across the board. I mean, we've talked about this on our show. It just, you know, it just takes a normal occurrence. You know, these young kids today, what they have to go through, what they have to be able to withstand, because social media is such a huge part of it.
The media builds them up as archetypes, the hero, the villain, the savior, the rebel, because it's easier than dealing with the truth, that they're both human beings navigating impossible expectations. And Michelle Obama's decision to speak out is important because she's not just some random pundit. She's one of the most respected women in America. When she talks, people listen, and she's not afraid to call out the hypocrisy. It's almost comical if it weren't so damaging. Imagine a future where Clark and Reese are both Hall of Famers, both legends of the game. Do you really want their story to be remembered as the rivalry the media couldn't stop twisting into nonsense? Or do you want it remembered as the rivalry that elevated women's basketball to global recognition? The answer should be obvious, but here we are, watching the cycle repeat itself because drama sells. And make no mistake, this isn't just about race or gender, though those play a massive role. It's about the entire media machine that thrives on division. Clark versus Reese is great television, so why would the networks want to tone it down? But Michelle Obama's point is that the cost is too high. The cost is the mental health of the athletes. The cost is reducing their legacies to caricatures. And the cost is fans missing the chance to appreciate two once-in-a-generation talents at the same time. So the next time you hear a debate about whether Reese is too much or Clark is being protected, ask yourself, are we really talking about basketball here, or are we just watching the same rerun with different faces? Because trust me, this script has been written before. And if nothing changes, it'll be written again. And that brings us to the real question. What happens when the athletes themselves start fighting back against these narratives?
I've been playing against Caitlin since we were probably in 8th or 9th grade. We both were really competitive during AAU. I went to Maryland, she went to Iowa, so we competed there, and then finally being able to compete in the national championship. So people don't know the legacy of us being able to play against each other for a really long time, but obviously social media is going to put two women against each other.
When Clark and Reese stop letting the media shape their rivalry and start shaping it themselves. Because if history has shown us anything, it's that athletes who take control of their own stories can change the game forever. Here's the thing nobody wants to admit. The WNBA needs Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, not just as players, not just as rookies bringing fresh energy, but as saviors of the brand. And I don't say that lightly, because for years, the league has been fighting tooth and nail for mainstream attention. It's grown steadily, yes. It's had legends like Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore, Tamika Catchings, names that any real basketball fan respects. But let's be honest, the WNBA has never had two rookies arrive with this much hype, this much baggage, and this much marketability all at the same time. From the second Clark declared for the draft, ESPN practically turned into the Caitlin Clark network. Every highlight, every stat, every commercial break, there she was, splashing logo threes like Steph Curry's long-lost little sister. Angel Reese. She became the face of unapologetic swagger, the villain if you needed one, the hero if you loved her style. Together, they're the perfect storm. You've got the sharp-shooting, media-friendly superstar and the dominant, outspoken enforcer. It's basically the WNBA's version of Magic vs. Bird, and the league knows it. Let's not sugarcoat this. The WNBA is cashing in. Ticket sales, upper. Jersey sales, through the roof. TV ratings, breaking records left and right. When Clark plays, the numbers spike. When Reese plays Clark, the ratings explode. It's no coincidence that the league schedules these matchups like blockbuster movie premieres. You can almost hear the execs in the boardroom. Clark vs. Reese, yeah, let's make that a primetime slot. And hey, who can blame them? For the first time in years, casual fans are tuning in. Sponsors are writing bigger checks. Even sports talk shows that used to ignore the WNBA are suddenly debating free throws and technical fouls like their lives depend on it. But here's the danger. When you build your entire brand around a couple of players, you're playing with fire.
But when it comes to death threats, like I'm talking about people who've come down to my address, follow me home. Like it's come down to that. Multiple occasions, people have made AI pictures of me like naked. Literally.
Really?
They have sent it to my family members. My family members are like, uncles are sending it to me like,
no.
Are you naked on Instagram?
Ask the NBA what happened in the post-Michael Jordan years. Ask women's soccer what happened after the Brandy Chastain era cooled off. If Clark or Reese gets injured or decides the media circus isn't worth it, what happens to all that momentum? Exactly. It collapses like a house of cards. So here we are. After all the highlight reels, all the trash talk, all the press conferences, all the think pieces, what does this Clark-Reese rivalry actually mean? Is it just another spicy chapter in sports drama, or is it something much bigger? Let's be clear. This isn't just about basketball anymore. This is about visibility. It's about women's sports finally having the kind of cultural traction the NBA, NFL, and MLB have feasted on for decades. Rivalries sell. Storylines sell. And for the first time in a long time, the WNBA has both right in its hands. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese isn't just a matchup, it's a mirror. It reflects how America talks about women, about race, about class, about fame, about power. When Reese waves her hand in Clark's face, it's not just a taunt. It's a conversation about respect, about who gets labeled confident versus cocky. When Clark pulls up from the logo and drains a three, it's not just a bucket. It's a statement about how quickly the spotlight can anoint someone as the chosen one. And the beauty of it? It's complicated, it's messy, it's real, which is exactly why fans can't look away. If you made it to the end of the video, you're the real MVP. Now tell me in the comments, are you Team Clark, Team Reese, or do you think the media's overblowing the whole thing? I want to hear your take. And don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe if you love deep dives like this, and share this video with someone who still thinks women's basketball isn't exciting. Let's prove them wrong together.